Hey guys, we have so much to chat about. I'm so sorry for the delay. I was taking a nap. On this episode of Cheerleaders. What's the intro? Anyway, let's get into it, you guys. I'm so excited to chat. You guys are probably here because of the posts that I made. We're gonna talk about it all. We're gonna explain the backstory. We're gonna explain why I came to the team, why I got sent away from the team, and all of that. But first of all, if you're new here, hello. My name is Lauren. I also go by ByLokub. And I was a competitive cheerleader my entire life. And I was with the California All-Stars program. Literally, when I started cheer, I was in seasons 1 through 3, I think, of Cheerleaders on ATV.
I don't understand why you're not jumping! What is the problem? Step back up!
I have only been coached, really, by Eddie and Orby for competitive cheer. And I'm really blessed to say that. So I was on the team 2010. We were a junior team. We won Worlds for the first time for the Camarillo Gym of California All-Stars. We all grew up, got older, the team turned into a senior team, and that's where Smoed happened. So 2011 was the first year of Smoed. We ended up getting second at Worlds. And then after that was when we just started our 4P. So 2012, 13, 14, and 15, I was on the team. After 2015, I went off to college and thought that my competitive cheer journey was over. So I thought, until this year. So to start off, I just want to give you the timeline of like me even being on the team. I am in law school right now. I'm in my last year of law school. So my class schedule is super light. I ended up going to the showcase in December. And every time I go back to the gym or back to showcases or just see cheerleading, I'm like, oh my gosh, I miss it so much. But like I never actually like do cheer again. It's always just kind of like a hee hee ha ha thought. And then Smoed this year, well the last few years, has been in the International Global Division, which means it's like 18 and older. So I go to the showcase and I'm like, oh, I miss it. And then January comes around and I'm like, let me just come back to the gym, see if I have my skills still. And then as I'm going to the gym more, I'm like starting to get to know the team more. A few of them I already did know, but a lot of them I didn't know. And I'm getting to know all of them and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I absolutely love these people so much. So obviously I still have that really good bond with Coach Eddie. I basically hinted, if you need me, I'm here. And slowly I was actually getting my skills back. I was doing my double and I haven't done that since 2015. I was doing my 1 to fulls or 2 to fulls at the time, and then he wanted to change it to a 1 to full. And last time I did a 1 to full was 2011. Turns out that he actually did need me on the team. So I actually came onto the team I think like mid-January or maybe end of January, because I was supposed to go to Palm Springs competition with them, which was the February 3rd weekend. So I'm practicing with them. I end up getting injured. 2 areas, my groin, and then I also sprained my ankle. My groin was, I was in the baskets, and I was doing hitch kick doubles. I guess my body's just not used to doing that. So I pulled my groin really bad, like to the point where I could not even walk. And then I sprained my ankle doing Arabian through to full. I was really bad out of the Arabian, and I busted on the full so bad. Hurt my ankle, didn't know it was sprained, kept pushing through both of these until it literally became unbearable. So I ended up going to see a doctor. Just to the point where I literally could not compete. I mean, like for an ankle, you can just tape it up and be fine, but like the groin literally affected everything. So Eddie shifted people back into the spots that they were originally in, and they did really good in Palm Springs. And so I was like, okay, probably doesn't need me anymore, because also NCAA is coming up. This is starting from Palm Springs. This is where the competitions start ramping up. Either every other weekend or something like that, there's a competition. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be ready for NCA either. I'm still injured. It was like the weekend after Palm Springs where NCA was. I ended up healing, and then around NCA time, I also learned that I'm gonna be needed for a competition. And that competition was March 22nd. One of the girls had a wedding that she was in, and so I needed to fill in for that competition. I was like, no problem at all, like I got it. So I was being plugged into the routine, and then he started making some changes from like the 2 to full, ended up being a 1 to full. And then he needed like some combo passes, so either a straight double or like a combo through to full. I guess those are the same, pretty much the same thing for this division. So I had my Arabian through to full. Even though I busted in the beginning of the year, I had it afterwards. So I just needed some time, you know? Old body, okay? We ended up not doing the March 22nd competition, but Eddie talked to me, like, seeing if I can stay on the team and still do it through Worlds, because I had these skills that the person I replaced didn't necessarily have it solid. And I love her to death. I hate that I hate that I'm saying this right now. But anyway, the plan was literally since mid-March that I am on the team through to Worlds. So this is the part where we get into the tea. Okay, I guess, are you guys ready? It's a lot to keep up with, so I'm gonna try to make it as easy as possible. So, backstory, when you get your bid to Worlds, that original roster needs to be the same as the roster that you have at Worlds minus 5 people. So you can like change 5 people in and out from the original roster. They got their bid when I wasn't on the team. So after the bid competition, there were some people who quit, and so like the 5 number was changing. Some people came in, blah blah blah, replacing people, whatnot. So that was like going throughout the season. So we're in April. I make my announcement that I'm back on the team. I was holding in the secret before. Like I was on and off the team here and there because I like the injuries. So I never posted about it until like April 2nd when I made my post. I'm so happy and grateful for all of the responses. You guys are so supportive. I literally love you all to pieces. April 15th comes around, and so that's the week before Worlds. April 15th or 16th. 2 new people come in to replace a flyer and then also to replace Jesus. Jesus was a really strong stunter, and he wasn't doing his doubles. He was doing fulls. He's injured. We love him, and he works super hard. But Eddie did bring in 2 people to replace the flyer and Jesus. April 22nd comes around, which is a few days before the showcase and a few days before we're supposed to leave for Worlds. And I walk into practice, and one of my teammates comes up to me and hugs me, and he always hugs me. But like this time it was like, he was like very somber, but I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, like, so cute. Another one of my teammates comes by and is like, why don't you just use her ID? Her as in the girl that I replaced. And I was like, what are you talking about? Huh? She was like, oh, you didn't hear? Like, they messed up on the numbers. Apparently, they thought that Jesus was not on the team for the bid, and he came onto the team like right after the bid. So they thought he was already like one of the 5. So if you replace him, like, it's fine because it's not the original roster. Like, it's already someone who was in the 5 that you're replacing. But turns out that he was on the team originally. For some reason, not everyone else, but the people who like make the decisions didn't think that. This is the part of the story where I'm going to explain the dynamic a little bit of the team. Usually on the teams that I'm on before, like, there's Eddie, the head coach, and then we're all, you know, listening to Eddie. This team was a little bit different when I hopped on because there was one person in particular that wasn't just a teammate, but he was considered like an assistant coach too. That was just kind of strange to me because it's never ever been like that. Yeah, it was just really odd. We're gonna call him Bob. So every time I had conversations with Bob before, it was always like, oh, Jesus wasn't on the mat for the bid, like blah, blah, blah. And the way that Bob is, he's very like convincing and like very good at like sounding like he knows what he's talking about. So I just don't think Eddie like thought twice. Okay, so after I'm questioning my teammate, like, what the heck is going on? Like, what do you mean ID? She explains it to me. She says, basically they made an error that they thought Jesus was not on the team for the bid. Turns out he was. So it's either Jesus comes back and then I can be on the team, or the other way around is the new person who replaced Jesus on that week before, he stays in and the girl that I replaced comes back. So those were the two options. We start practice and we're running and I'm with 3 of my other teammates and I'm like, okay guys, I know nothing, so like explain it to me like I literally am dumb. Like, go ahead, explain. So they start explaining. So people have been trying to get a hold of Jesus, but he is not responding. He's not answering anybody. And also there was a comment that was made where you won't be as upset that you're not going to Worlds because you have an exam the day after you get back from Worlds. This is where I turned up, because I was like, how are you going to throw whatever I have, whatever professional responsibilities I have going on outside of this that I've been sacrificing back at me? Like, as if I won't be upset or it's all okay because I have these exams. So that was like really pissing me off. And that was a comment that I guess Bob made. So anyway, at this point I'm fuming. We go into practice and Eddie intercepts me into the office. He's like, I have really bad news to tell you. And I'm like, yeah, I already know because everyone else told me. I was also a little upset about that. Like, don't let me walk into practice like looking stupid. I was the last person to know. Like, everyone else knew. He was very sad that that happened, and he's like, well, if we get a hold of Jesus, no problem, like, you're back in. And at this point I still had hope because I'm like, oh, Jesus and I are friends, like he'll answer. We'll be fine. And so I was trying to get a hold of him and I couldn't get a hold of him. I started to get really frustrated. I ended up leaving. The next day I start talking to some other people. I ended up talking to Bob, and during this conversation, I don't know, it's just, something's just really off. And so I didn't really know the full picture. Later, I find out that Bob has been plotting to have these 2 individuals come onto the team since like January. Bob is friends with both of those. Then I also hear that before practice, there were conversations with Bob and the teammates, and Bob was saying that Jesus wasn't deserving of like winning with us, and because I had the test, it was fine. And then I also found out that during the conversation with Bob, I was like, have you gotten a hold of Jesus? Like, what's up? And I was like, okay, we'll try to contact him too. I'm gonna try to blah, blah, blah. Later, I get a hold of Jesus finally, like 2 days later. And I'm explaining to him the whole situation. And he's like, yeah, you know, the only person who wasn't reaching out to me was Bob. So I was like, wow. Okay. So to my face, it was like, yes, we want you back. I'll try to get a hold of him. Meanwhile, he's just not even trying. After all that happened, I made the post because I knew a lot of you guys were like looking forward to me being on the team and like seeing me compete again, which I was too. At first I was upset with like Eddie for making this error, and then the more intel that I got, the more I realized how much like Bob was maybe not making the last decision, because that was always Eddie's decision, but just like being so careless and having so much influence on the decision making, and no one thought to like fact check on whether Jesus was on the team for the bid. Like, it's just all a little weird, and I didn't like that at all. So now let's get into Worlds. I want them to do well. I really do, and I really wanted them to win. I wanted it for the people who haven't won. Like, I won 5 times, and like I'm so blessed to be doing that, but like some people literally didn't even win, hasn't even won once, and I'm like, I want it for them. But I just knew like that the team is going to suffer because of some decisions that were made. So day 1, the error was in was the new group. Bob was in that group. Day 2, this is where things get really weird. On day 2, every single error that happened was like a stem from these decisions that were made. So like there was a deduction in the pyramid, and Jesus was originally supposed to be in that group. And there was a fall. And everything was just like because of the switch. And then on top of that, please look at the team name that went on right after Smoed. Like, it was just a very weird series of events that happened. And again, I wasn't happy that happened. It was just more like something like that was gonna happen. Oh, and if you didn't know, Smoed got second. In conclusion, I was mad at Eddie for like a second, but now seeing everything play out, like, I'm not mad at Eddie. I don't think anyone should be. I think the only thing that I'm upset about is the amount of trust that he put into Bob. No, in no way do I want people to like start hating on other people. I don't want you guys to like think poorly about California All-Stars as a program. Eddie is just literally like so sweet to his soul, and like definitely like trusted this person. We move on, we learn. I know that this stuff, like the whole alternate in numbers, like happens. I just hope that gyms can like learn from this experience and just be a little bit more careful. Also, not to have assistant coaches that's also an athlete. I'm gonna call Jesus. Jesus, say hi to everybody. Well, Jesus, I hope you know that the world loves you, and justice for Jesus forever. So
love you guys. Love you, ByLokub.
I love you eternally, and I will talk to you very soon.
Yes, I love you too.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
I just love him so much. Going back to my post, just to wrap it up, I did feel a little gutted, which is why I sent the loyalty comment. But also the things that I sacrificed, like I was in law school, I had my law firm job, the cheer, and then also I have a bag business. Let me show you guys. So I make these, would love for you guys to support. Yeah, so it was just really hard because I sacrificed a lot to like be on this team. It was so worth it because I love Eddie, I love people on the team. I still had a really fun experience on the team. Yeah, I wouldn't trade this for the world. So, might do some follow-up on my social media accounts if you guys have more questions. So, put it below or just reply to my stuff on social media. I'll put everything down below. But thank you guys for listening. I had so much fun chatting. Just be a good person. Stay safe. And if you need a lawyer,